Hey, what's going on today, guys? Today I'm going to be discussing a very important topic of environmental stewardship and engineering. That topic specifically is going to be the design of healthy urban infrastructure. So this topic is becoming ever so important because the population is growing in a lot of places, and as a result there are many new communities being built, and it is more important than ever to design this infrastructure to be sustainable, not just for tomorrow, but for the long term in the years to come. For our future generations, they will benefit a lot from doing these proactive changes. So during the summer of 2017, I was part of the Sustainable Community Development program in the Netherlands. So the program focused on principles, policies, and practices for international and Canadian perspectives in land development, as well as transportation systems and sustainable development. So the first thing that caught my attention when I arrived in the country has been how the Dutch have undergone extraordinary measures to achieve excellent public transportation. So I was immediately impressed at how convenient and also at how quick it was to get from my initial landing location in Amsterdam at the international airport to my target destination in Delft. That trip only took 38 minutes, and during that trip it was incredible just to see how well cyclists, automobiles, pedestrians, and the trains, how well they all work together in a cohesive way. Transportation it's almost like a well-oiled machine there. In contrast, here in Canada, I do think that they do favor the automobile a lot more. An example would be comparing the two distances of, let's say, from White Rock to YVR versus when I was traveling from Amsterdam Airport to Delft. 4 kilometers are roughly the same distance. However, it only took me 38 minutes to travel from using public transportation from Amsterdam to Delft. And in comparison, traveling from maybe White Rock to YVR, that would probably take an hour and a half if you're lucky, using the public transportation available. So although Vancouver does rank 3rd in North America for best public transportation, that time difference is massive. The Dutch government has simply given an awesome opportunity for those who can't even afford a car to travel with ease within the country. The very first thing I did when I arrived in the country after going to Delft was I acquired a bicycle. A bicycle is key to getting around in that country due to the level terrain as well as abundance of protected bicycle paths. Once again, Vancouver does rank very high for being a bicycle-friendly city, but still, just looking at the layouts downtown and trying to imagine riding a bicycle through there with ease when comparing it to something like riding through the paths in the Netherlands, once again, it's a difference between night and day. This is another area that I think Vancouver has a lot of potential to fill in the gaps. And due to the weakest link principle of aggregation, the most stressful part of a trip, that will actually determine how stressful the trip is in general. So furthermore, another piece of infrastructure related to this is the amount of effort they put in for bicycle parking. For example, underneath one of the train stations in Delft, there was an underground dedicated just for parking bicycles, and this had a capacity for over 7,500 bikes. It'd be rare in Vancouver just to find a rack having a capacity for maybe 30 bicycles. To me, that just doesn't really make sense for the designs in Vancouver. For example, you can be driving around and you'll see quite large parking lots, and they can only maybe have capacity for a few hundred cars at best. In comparison, that amount of real estate could easily have the capacity to 10 times the number of bicycles. So that's another step I think Vancouver should consider in their future designs to allow the city to become more bike friendly. The next topic I want to touch on is public spaces. Now, going through the city of Delft, it was fulfilling to have access to a wide range of public spaces in the city. Much of the space in the urban areas of the Lower Mainland are occupied with spaces like I mentioned before, like dedicated automobile parking, maybe room to allow accommodate more cars in lanes. Although that doesn't really solve the problem in congestion. Just look at the city of Los Angeles, for example. You can see roads that are maybe up to 20 lanes wide, and it can be a nightmare just to drive through. As you can see, here's a clip of me driving through the city in 2015, and virtually the entire ride was just go stop traffic. A recent change that I really liked by the Dutch government was the Delft Market Square. Previously, this was a parking lot up until the year 2000. The only purpose it served was just to allow a capacity of a few hundred cars. That's it. And now you can see in these clips, you can see the difference. And now people have this creates a healthy environment for people to socialize, gather for events. Now the thing that especially struck my attention in that location for that market was that every Thursday, all the local businesses would present their products. This was a great way to rejuvenate the local businesses, and it allowed people to connect even more in the community. Now, on the topic of space management, something that the urban planners have really shown a remarkable achievement is the ability to maintain as well as even create green spaces within the cities. For comparison, the population of the Netherlands is 17 million, which is half of Canada's. However, its area is only 41,000 square kilometers. That's less than 1% of what the size of Canada is. So it's a very small, densely packed area to work in. So the next set of clips I'm showing right here are a variety of shots I took in green spaces throughout the entire country. This ranged from Amsterdam to Delft to Rotterdam and even The Hague. You can see these really do add to the beauty of the cities. They really make it a great place for relaxation. And of course, these green spaces also provide excellent ecosystem services. Examples would be clean air and noise protection. Another cunning trait that the Dutch have implemented into their infrastructure design is the reduction in noise. A noticeable difference between Vancouver and Delft is the difference in sound decibel levels. Many parts of the city, such as the Delft Square Market, they've banned car traffic, and as a result, noise levels have drastically been reduced. Even from my trip from the hostel to TU Delft, where car traffic is permitted, there's still a great noise levels are greatly minimized due to the smartly designed barriers and protected separate routes for cyclists and pedestrians. In contrast, not just in Vancouver but many other suburban areas, it's quite common to see that cyclists are forced to share the same road as car traffic, and the sidewalks are just placed next to the roads. There's not really much of a sound barrier in between them. So even just walking downtown along some of the roads, that you can't, if you're having a conversation with the person next to you, you can't even hear half the stuff they're saying because the car traffic is so loud. So in addition to noise reduction, another innovation that the engineers in the Netherlands have really progressed on over the past few decades has been renewable energy. This ranges from solar to hydro to wind. One of the major ones though is wind, of course, since it's quite a windy area, that geography. Now, something that really struck me was that 100% of the trains in the Netherlands, they do run off of the wind energy that's created. As you can see in these nice clips, here are a variety of wind turbines throughout the country. Some of them are really quite big, and yeah, they really do stand out even at far distances. Here's a shot taken from along Monstrand Dike, and it's all the way to the port of Rotterdam. The sizes of them, yeah, once again, it's just incredible. A final note I want to make about the Netherlands about achieving all of these sustainability goals is through the backbone, which is strong government leadership. Because the Dutch government is shifted more over to the democratic side, they have been able to gather adequate funds to achieve many of these sustainability goals. They do tax at higher rates, and of course the rates do increase as the income increases. However, I do think that brings more equality to society, and as a result, they're also able to fund a lot of innovative projects that are up and coming. As a result of this, the overall quality of life amongst all citizens on average does increase. Anyway, to conclude this video, I just want to emphasize again how much we can learn from the Dutch when it comes to sustainable design. The country has taken risks on unique projects that have never been done before, and they've been very successful with a lot of them. With this attitude and leadership, there seems to be no limit to how far we can go as long as we put our minds to it. Visiting the Netherlands in Europe was definitely a memorable experience, and I really hope to use the culture and ideas that I learned from the trip in the rest of my life in my engineering career. Thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best of luck to see how you can implement change in environmental stewardship for the rest of the world. Goodbye.